Laura, thank you for coming in today. You have such a wonderful career of impact and contribution and purposeful leadership and innovation across so many domains and across so many countries. It's amazing. And it's definitely a North Star or a beacon for the world and for all of humanity and Earth ecosystems to really, you're the model for good and purposeful leadership. So thank you for coming in and sharing with our audience.
Thank you so much for having me, Stephen. This is such an honor. It's very nice to be here with you.
So Laura, my audience is quite mixed, but it's really a lot of CEOs and founders and investors they're always sort of the top members of our audience. And then I have scientists as well, because my interviews appear in science communities and students. And the question that they're always curious about when I have you, this wonderful person with this amazing career and who's so influential, what are those two or three inflection points in your life that changed the course of who you are and who you are today? And it could have been when you were 3 or 5, or it could have been later in your life, that made this just this impactful person you are and help shape your leadership principles and things like that. So,
Oh, well, I think that the first point was my childhood, being raised by a Japanese mother who also was a medical doctor, but she was studying physics, mathematics. She wanted to understand the connection of everything and not only from the point of view of medicine or Western medicine. And then my father, that was also a medical doctor, when I had to decide what I wanted to do for life, I decided that I want to do medicine because I was looking them serving others. And it was so nice to see this serving others and the gratitude of people who were being benefited. So the inflection point was when I had to decide by doing medicine, but it was so hard to enter the university that my father wanted. And then suddenly I decided, you know what, I want to do business administration. And at that moment, when I was in this career space, like, okay, I am not doing what I kind of wanted to do, but I am here. And then suddenly I entered into the pharmaceutical industry. So I was kind of there doing something for health, and I could find this kind of connection of what my parents were doing and the pharmaceutical industry. So the first point was what to do with business administration and go to pharmaceutical industry. But then the second point was very important one, because when I was there already, Stephen, and I think I was like 32, 33 years old, and I was already a general manager of Hungary Pharma Bayer, no? And there was a point that I thought, okay, I have a point of my career where I am general manager. I didn't expect to be. I am here. There are so many good things happening. And I was starting to read and learn about yoga and about this spirituality, this philosophy that is, we are here to do something more. And then suddenly I wanted to do this. And there was some discussions with my mother that she was challenging me, because I told, okay, I am here. I am the pharmaceutical company. Sometimes I am in spaces where people want to do good and they tell many bad things about pharmaceutical companies. And then my mother was telling, okay, so what do you want to do? I want to go to India, teach yoga or something like this. And then suddenly she was telling, yeah, go there because you will find people who like this, who will look for you to do this. They are ready. But in the corporations, it's more difficult. And then, Stephen, I told, no, I'm not running away. And then at that point, it was 2004, I decided that I would bring spirituality to the corporations. I told, I will live a life that I want. So I am in corporation, but I will do good. So I will live by my principles, my values, and I will bring this. And I think that the third was when I had to decide what to do, being very young, still like 49, and having to change careers. Do I come back to corporation? What I do? And I decided that it was the moment to give back and to tell, you know what? I did a career that I was a corporate executive. I work in the pharmaceutical companies. I loved it, and I did it for good. I'm proud of it. So how to bring this to other people? How help other people to understand how to live a life of pride, that wherever you are working, you will know why you are doing that. And by having this meaning in your life, you can live in a way that is very coherent, and you can be yourself and be proud. And I thought, okay, I will start to do this. So I think that it was 3 moments that changed and shaped a lot my life, Stefan.
Yeah, that's really, really fascinating to hear. One, your mother is a medical doctor, but she has a broad interest, like in mathematics and physics and so on. And your father also is a doctor, so that shapes your future in terms of healthcare in some way, and for the care of others.
Yes.
And then you go into business administration, and you at a very early age you become a leader within the pharmaceutical industry, and you have this inflection point within the pharmaceutical industry as a corporate executive that, you know what, I want to add other elements, the coherence elements, the spirituality elements of a purpose in leadership, and enabling people to find that purpose through encouragement, and not through I think sometimes, you know, this idea of top-down smart objectives and so on.
Yes.
You want it to be driven from inside, right? And having people be incentivized and motivated from the inside by having a really encouraging environment. And this one, and this word of coherence, I think that's really fascinating and makes you quite unique. So now, you know, so you have this path, and you find your purpose, but you're also enabling your team members to find their purpose as well by encouraging them. And you're unique too, because you enter all of this space which is very male dominated, and yet you become the first female leader to be appointed in these senior executive positions and so on. Can you talk about that journey as being a woman and a male dominated space, and then leading as a woman, and what perspective and what broadening did you bring from being the first woman in many cases of many of the roles that you took on?
You know, Stefan, this is very interesting, because I have to confess and be honest that in many parts of my life I was very against the diversity and inclusion, because it kind of worked against me. Let's say it's very bad to tell like this, but I have to be honest. When I was a leader as a woman, I never thought that it was like I worked hard and I just wanted to help, and I was in these positions, and then suddenly all of these movements started, where they started to make kind of the objectives of gender equality and the percentages. And then suddenly in a point, there was a question if I was there because I was a woman and just to feel the need, or if I was there because of my work. But then I understood that, of course, I was the only woman there. I was the only one. So we need to have more women. And somehow, the way that I operated as a female in these places, maybe also because of the influence of my mother being Japanese and a woman in spaces that she had to be there and make herself see her value, I understood in many situations that I was the only woman, and it was not comfortable for men to be around a woman, for example, in a business trip where they used to be just alone as men and have some kind of language when they were together talking about business and everything. And then suddenly there is a woman there and they have to, I don't know, to think before they are talking. And I knew it, and I wanted them to feel comfortable. Somehow, what was nice is because I knew what I wanted in life and I knew who I was, and I wanted to bring value to the table, I made them comfortable to be with women. And I knew that I was the first woman, and I had to make it good for them to have other women. So it's not an inclusion. You don't have to include me because I'm different. You have to see the value and feel comfortable and know that I bring something more. So the places that I work, I just try to do it. It was easy. It was not easy. But I think that what helped a lot is that the whole time I was not doing this for the purpose of being a woman or fighting against something. I wanted to live what I believed and live my purpose. I know that I can help. I know that I can add value. So I come here because there is something much bigger that we can achieve together. And each time that I took away from accepting me or proving myself and tell, let's find something else. Let's be a collective wisdom together. I think that each time that I did this, it worked. Each time that I wanted to fight, it didn't work.
Yeah.
So I think that I learned that all human beings have a unique value that you can bring into the table. And if you have the right environment, the collective wisdom has an exponential potential. And if you are able to do this, is the best way for you as a minority, let's say, to bring your value to the table. So this was my takeaway of this journey.
That's really, really fascinating. That's perspective of harmony. So you clearly can bring value, but you have to ensure that your colleagues feel the value, but also this harmony and synchronicity and coherence with you. So they don't feel that you're some intruder or you're some outsider, but you're one of them. And you want to make them feel comfortable or in harmony or in coherence with who you are and your purpose. And so you become the first female leader, executive president of the Bayer Group in Latin America, and you're the first woman elected as chairperson of Cavanal, this German Chamber of Commerce, and the first CEO with the title Chief Purpose Officer as well. And at all of these times, you're clearly adding value, and yet you want everybody to feel comfortable with your presence as well, and to have that insight and the ability to create that inclusion coherence. I think is just fascinating. So it makes you quite unique, and yet I know you're in the process of writing a book, so you want to instantiate and spread all of these learning and wisdom. I can see also, your mother's Japanese, and she's a doctor, and I know a lot of people of Japanese. I'm of Japanese descent, and women have a hard time often. And in fact, my Japanese colleagues in Japan, it's hard for them to break through, right? Because it's such a male-centric point of view. So, that is absolutely just fascinating. Okay, so you have this position. You're inculcating this harmony with people. Tell me about your process now of how you want to bring your team along. So you're this leader, but how are you incentivizing your team, motivating your team throughout your career, and especially as you develop more and more of these insights of being intrinsically motivated and not forced to be motivated. Tell me about that process.
Okay, I love this question. I think that I cannot tell that it was always conscious because I made lots of mistakes. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be a little more male, Western European. So it's like it's not completely conscious the whole time. But I think that what happened is that I was put in positions where I was a leader in a young age, and I was in different countries, Stephen, that I cannot tell all of these people what to do. They are older than me. They have more experience than me. They speak the language. For example, in Hungary, I don't even speak the language. So somehow, even if I had this pressure that I have to know things because I am a boss, let's say, I had some help from corporate executive coaches, one coach in particular that was telling, you have to believe and you have to trust people. So in this way, each country that I was going, I knew that I had to make the best out of the people that was there because I needed them to succeed. So somehow the way that I was going, I had to find in different countries ways for very quickly for me to work the way that I wanted, lead the way that I felt comfortable, that is trusting in people, working with them. And at the same time, I had only 4 years because my tenures normally was 4 or 5 years in each country. So at a certain point, Stefan, I understood that when I arrived in a country, there are people that were working there because they loved it, because they woke up in the morning and they were very happy doing it. And there were other people that wanted to be close to me because knew that probably being close to me, they would have some advantages, they could influence me. And this is the way that is the corporation and all the places. And I tried to get these people that were there for something more. And then I understood that as soon as I create an environment where this kind of behavior, beliefs are stronger, that we have to wake up in the morning and we have to love what we are doing. And we have to do this for something more. The decision-making process, the ethics, the moral, they are much higher level. They have a higher level of consciousness and the possibility of having good results, sustainable results, were better. So I started to understand that I wanted to make my people happy. And I went to delivering happiness. I studied Zappos, I studied Bhutan, and I wanted to bring this to the because I saw that when people are in a good spirit and they have clarity in their minds, they can make good decisions. No? So then I was trying and I read a lot about human beings. And then as I was going from Hungary, then to Mexico, and then to Venezuela, and then to India, I was kind of being sure that the leader's main objective is to make better human beings. If you are working with better human beings that want to make a difference, and they understand that they have one purpose that can align with the company's purpose, you can do whatever you want, Stephen. It's like in Venezuela that we didn't know what was going on. It was very difficult. We had to make decisions, but we didn't know what was happening. So in an uncertainty moment, with kind of lots of decisions to make, an overwhelming number of choices that you have, sometimes you don't need certainty. You need clarity. Which clarity? Why you're here for? What are your values? And what you want from your future? And if you have a collective wisdom like this, sometimes it's not you, it's not your leadership team, but the collective, knowing that they want to do something good for the country, for the people, the decisions are coming. So at a certain point, I was sure that I wanted people who work with purpose, that they are joining the company because they have a purpose that aligns with the company. And we were making this kind of request when we are hiring people. Make a letter of purpose. If you do not have a letter of purpose, you do not have your own purpose in life, tell me why you want to join the company and why you think that we can make a difference. Because I think that only this way you can truly make a difference. And you as a leader, you don't have to take responsibility for people. You have to focus on serving them to do what they have to do. So I lived it. And I think that this is the way for us also, Stefan, to really make good decisions in all of the technology that is coming in the future. Because if people are working for profit and numbers, they will do whatever they need to have profit and numbers, and this might not be good. But if you are doing things to build a better future, a better humanity, a better life for everybody, a better planet, then the decisions and everything that we have as resources in our life and that will come, they will be for the benefit of us and next generations. And this is what I believe. Sorry for the long answer.
Again, that is so interesting and very successful. This holistic view of driving for a broader purpose, the purpose of humanity, the purpose of your fellow colleagues, the purpose of the broader planet. That results in better leaders. And that's what you aim to do, to build these leaders in your team. And you mentioned that trust was also more important, and really in contrast to just thinking about numbers, having this trust element, and then helping your team members finding meaning and purpose in their work, and to have that intrinsically be their motivation to make a difference, and reaching out from a holistic point of view of goodness, right?
Yes.
And that would then provide sort of an exponential growth potential of your members and so on. So, and you came to this realization of just through this continuing evolution of working in different countries, but also in India as well. And that made you this wonderful leader. And so you've been profiled, right? You've been profiled in different books. Can you talk about that?
And all of this was in my last period in India, because I was given a huge opportunity to implement what I believed and to trust the people, trust the team. And one of the books that I was profiled is the Bringing Humanity Back to Business and Leading with Purpose. It's from Michael Chavez, that was the CEO of the JUC education program. Corporate education program. And there was when he interviewed me, because he was working and had an article in Forbes for the purpose in organization. But mainly I think that what happened in India is that we allowed everybody to work for the purpose of the company. So Roche has a very strong purpose. It's like doing now what patients need next. So when we told, okay, what this means for India, how we can do this for India, and by the end it was, we have to improve healthcare, because being competitors in the small market that we had, because there is no access, is fighting with competitors. So this is not helping anybody. But if you give more access to healthcare to the population, then the pie will increase. But to do this, we have to do this with our competitors. We have to think holistically. We have to think in how to help really the need of the country. So in doing this, we changed the whole business model, the whole strategy. And then we didn't have, for example, business plan. We have life-saving plans. And in this, it was very, very good for the people to do their best. The stakeholders were involved. And I think that this was what was so meaningful, that what I learned from this is that really we can work for good. And more, Stephen. And right now is even more, is that everybody now, let's not generalize. Probably 90% of the people today are questioning what I am doing. How can I do something meaningful? So many people want to start their own business because they think that they want to do something that is according to their purpose. But corporates can offer a platform where collectively they can even impact more, because they can align their own purpose with the companies. And this is what I was profiled for, is that bringing purpose, living with purpose, doing what you were here to do. And this is something that we need so much right now. And if we do not transform the way that we work, the way that we live, people will be completely unhappy, and this will bring stress, burnout, and everything that we are seeing today. And truly, for us to make this step in consciousness of humanity and really bring in companies to have a sustainable life, we need to transform the way that we measure success. We shouldn't measure success by GDP, by shareholder value. So we should measure GDP by how much a country is contributing for the citizens to have a quality of life and helping the planet. And companies, how much I am adding value to the humanity and to the planet and leaving a very good footprint for the future. If we change how we measure success, that people are happy because they are working in this company that they are proud of, that they can tell their children. So this changes completely everything. So for me right now, it's so important for us to see success in a different way. And this is how many people are seeing, right?
That is so interesting, and definitely needs to proliferate. And there's so in my interviews, it's unscripted, and you are so aligned with another CEO friend. Her name is we call her Kunbi. She's out of Thailand, and she's founded a company called DTGO. And wow, there's just a tremendous amount of alignment between your thinking and her thinking as well. It's incredible. So I can see the Leaders on Purpose. The Leaders on Purpose is a program out of Harvard and Unilever and the World Bank and things like that. And they interview CEOs or past CEOs. You should be part of their ongoing, and they pick, I think, something like 10 to 15 to interview every few years. Your views are just remarkable. I can see why, Michael from Forbes, that you'd mentioned him in the interview here, the CEO of Duke Corporation and Corporate Education, did an article about you as the first chief purpose officer in the CEO position, and how you've been featured in 2 books as well, because you have all of these ideas, and not just ideas, but you're implementing it. And that is thinking, when you're working for a company, about the broader societal needs or the broader humanity needs or the broader needs. And you reformed, even when you're in India, the business plan of the company to think in a broader sense, not as I'm competing against one company or no, but what's better for the community, what's better for inclusion of the broader society. And in that way, if you as an individual can align yourself with that kind of thinking, but the corporation aligns itself with that kind of thinking, then ultimately everybody wins. The corporation wins, but broader humanity wins, or the ecosystem wins. So I mean, that's just amazing, just working consciously about impacting society in a positive way, and building people who are thinking about purpose as themselves, but within their companies, and then on the broader holistic perspective. That is that is a wonderment, and I can see why you're trying to proliferate that idea, right? Because the planet would be better, humanity would be better, companies would be better, governments would be better, not measuring GDP, but the benefit.
Yes.
Benefit. Yeah.
Yes. And can you imagine, Stefan, that last year, like Patagonia,
Right.
donated his company for a foundation that is fighting climate change.
Right.
The pressure in all corporations,
Right.
but it's not the pressure of corporation of doing the same. It's the pressure of the corporation of people wanting to work in a place that they know that each penny that they are helping to sell, they know that this is helping the planet and the future. Because, Stefan, can you imagine something? We are so busy doing our daily lives. And when you start very young and you want to be successful as a professional, and you want to have a work-life balance. What means work-life balance? Means that your life has to have a meaning, and you have to have time for what is really important in life. If you are working in a company that the company is helping fight climate change, just for living, for waking up in the morning, you are doing something meaningful.
Right.
And this changes completely how you were motivated. This changes completely the relationship between company and employee. This is kind of, we are all in the same boat, and we are all doing something that is much more than me earning money, you earning money, you being promoted. It changes the perspective. You know, like Max Planck, change the way you look at things and change the things, and the things you look at will change. It's like work will not be an obligation anymore. It will be a kind of mission together to go to some place. And this is what we have to do in the future. This should be at least what we strive for. So we want to finish economies, corporations. We want to fight against everything that destroyed the past. No, maybe what we want is to do it better. How can we, just by changing the way that we look to economies and corporations and everything, and we can use still what is established, but then make the system work differently, right? So, and this all is changing what you aim for. If we change if we are not living in a hostile environment, if we are living in a friendly universe that is abundant, and we can do together so many things, and we visualize that in 2030, we can have reverted many of the damage that we have done, and we are living a much better life. So how can we do this, right?
Yeah, and in fact, you can even see research when people reframe what they see as a burden, or what they see as top-down task-driven mission for them, and they're part of the process of doing better, of making society better, and so on. That'll increase their happiness index. Work won't feel like work. It'll feel like a mission, a passion, something that you're inspired to do, right? And that reframing even applies to things like stress, right? If you think of stress as stress, then you're going to get stressed. If you think it as an opportunity to grow, then you're going to have a much better outcome, even from a health standpoint, right? So it's always this process of reframing for the opportunity, for goodness, for purpose, for adding value. That in every way will make everybody higher on this sort of consciousness level, on the spirituality level, and even on the happiness index, right? Because they used to think that you can control your happiness, and they thought it was fixed. But yet, people through meditation can improve their happiness. And how is that? It's you reframing, and so you're talking about a process and a way of thinking about everything you do. Ultimately, consciously and in a purposeful way, will just make for a better company, better society, better countries.
Yes.
Whatever, right? And ultimately the planet benefits, or earth ecosystems benefit. And then you get harmony and this idea of synchronicity that Julie talks about. So, or a better, more coherent world. I just, I mean, it's just a wonderful.
Stefan, I just make some connections here. So when I remember a lot how the rewarding process was for me, how I was grown up. Like my mother used to tell, okay, if you do this, you will receive a very nice fruit, an apple. So I loved watermelon. So watermelon was one reward that I had. And our funny jokes at home were about Malbataan and reading books of. So it was like kind of studying, eating healthy. All of these was rewards. So I grown up seeing this way, and after I knew, okay, there are chocolates, there are other things, and there are other fun stuff. This was for me what I liked. because I was like kind of grown up like this. So then I look right now and I tell, why people get stressed with work? Because they see everything bad about work. I loved working. I never took one pill to sleep because I went to sleep like so happy because I had to work to work the next day. So the way that I'm thinking now and how I put this in a way is like, what if everybody reframes and is able to have this kind of technology to reframe for ourselves, no? And it's what I was talking to. It's like for me in my mind, how I did it and how I see it is like kind of four ways of looking at it. If I understand each time of my life as I grow older, which are the what are the which are the pieces of the integrality of my life. I have my work, I have my community. There is a planet I have to be aware about his partner, children, or whatever. So you know the integrality of your life. And you understand how the past environment or people build you to what you became. And you have these beliefs that you bring today. And you have a future that you look and you have other beliefs. Then you bring the intentionality and you tell, I know I have to know what I want from my life. So I know what kind of person I want to be and which environment I want to live. So I reframe my stories from the past so they are adequate to this here. So I am living an intentional life, looking back, not regretting, but learning from the lessons that I have to become who I am. And then I look to the future and I said, okay, what I want. And then the coherence is like how you live your intentions, like a missions. You have a very clear purpose because you learn to live a purpose. And then you have an intentional mission for all of the parts of your life that you are in. No? And then you are learning because then difficulties are coming. They are not decreasing, but the way that you handle them is easier. And this is a learning from my son. That getting older, going to high school, it's not going to be easier, but you learn to handle things better. And how you learn to handle things better? Knowing what you want, because you will not know what will come. But knowing what you want, you can shape it. And this is living in coherence, to be the same person in the college, for my friends, my teachers, for everybody. And in the work, in the adulthood, is for you to be coherent, being who you are in your work, with your friends, with your children, your partner. And you can only do this if you know who you are and what you want. So for me, purpose is so important, and it's kind of what sediments a good way of living. So this is for me what I just make this reflection right now.
Yeah, and it's this continual time continuum, this temporal continuum of intention and purpose, and you're reframing everything in your life to intention and purpose, and there that gives you a meaning, and meaning drives happiness and mission. It drives contribution as well, and adding value. You know, it's a wonderful metaphor for so much, but also a framework and model. And I can see this being a framework that anybody can get involved with. And then I guess that leads to your book, and that's why you're writing a book. Can you talk about this book and what the theme of the book is, and then what you see as maybe some of the major chapters or buckets in the book, and how people are going to get into the book, the inbounding or the onboarding within the book, this journey, this narrative that you can paint in the book, and then on that onboarding, how they're going to evolve by consuming the book and seeing the coherence, mapping their coherence from the book onto themselves and then onto the book, and then how that's going to lead to better outcomes for them and for the bigger world. So let's map out this book. I'm curious about this book.
Oh, good. So this was an idea like knowing how I did things and now getting very clear in my mind what were the steps and everything. So the book is living a coherent life guided by purpose. So the idea is how you live a coherent life and being guided by purpose. Knows how purpose can make a difference and how you can do it. So it's exactly as I describe it. It has like 4 more important buckets. That is the integrality, the intentionality, the coherence, and then the lifelong learning. And somehow I just bring what I told you, that is first how to learn to live integrality, how to see all the areas of your life and understand how the environment and relations that you had in the past influence what you are becoming, and how you see the future will influence your relationships and environment, because this is what happens always. And then comes the intentionality, where you have to work in this intentionality every day. What are the intentions that you have? And when you have the right intentions and you understand what you want from your life, then you come to bring coherence to this. So you put together your intentionality in the different parts of your life and doing missions on this. And in the part of the lifelong learning, there is an additional thing, that is, if you have the right motivation, if you have the right motivations behind these right intentions, things will go to the right direction. But if you will have a very good intention, but you are driven by fear, by anger, the outcome will not be what you expect. So you have to learn throughout your life how you bring your intentionality through all the parts of your life and reframing situations that you get into for the benefit of your purpose. And then the last chapters are like, when you are on this, and you can put a phrase telling, my purpose is to help people live happily through their purpose and be coherent. Let's say this. And if I tell people my purpose, and then people understand each action that I am doing, why I'm making decisions, etc., you start automatically to be a leader, because you are inspiring people and people are following you. So you are a natural leader. And when you are a natural leader, you have 2 obligations. First, you have to build other leaders. You have to help others live this kind of life. And you have to bring an environment where this can be lived. And these are the corporations or wherever you are. And if you are a leader in a corporation, you have to strive for a corporation that is also integral, that sees everything, that is also intentional, that is also coherent, doing this intention in all of the stakeholders. And then lifelong learning, because it is learning and having a evolutionary purpose. According to the dynamics and needs of the market, you evolve your purpose as a company. But then there is another point that is very important for a company, is transparency. The communication internally, one to another, because human beings make corporations. And then outside for the stakeholders, the communication has to be very strong. And then I talk about a little, but very little, about like a life coherence, the work coherence, and the word coherence. So a little about this. So it's a kind of just pouring my heart out of what I believe and what I really would like people to live with. I would not call a model, because I think that models are telling that this is fixed, this is a territory very well written. But I think that it helped me to see the world, and this is how I see the world, and it was a good map. But maybe people will use it as a reference and build their own maps. But it's a this is how I made my life today happy and feeling successful. So I don't know, this is more or less the summary, Stephen.
That's a beautiful summary. So it's really a flexible framework, and and now bringing sort of this medical pharmaceutical side to it. It has epigenetic effects, right? And that is, it could be
Yes, exactly. So good to talk to you, Stephen. Sorry.
Yeah, and you can then make grand changes to society and culture, and as I mentioned, for the benefit of everyone, good for all, and all in capital letters, right? Good for the ecosystems around the world, and
Uh-huh.
and then it builds communities. You get 10%, and that 10% could drive the entire 8.4 billion, right? So
Yes. Yes.
it's just marvelous. I mean, and this harmonization that occurs as well. So it's a flexible framework with coherence and harmonization. It's quite remarkable. I love the whole theme of it. I can see how it can help people live life with purposeful intention. So not just intention, but purposeful intention. And that goes to the themes of this Impact Summit that you just came from about purposeful leadership, purposeful business, purposeful, I add innovation because I work in it,
Yes.
purposeful capital and investments, and all for good, right?
Yes.
So that's marvelous. So now I just want to add some added elements. You know, we discussed your life, the inflection points that guided you to where you are today, and how you want to um, help the planet harmonize and live in coherence as well, and with this flexible framework, and you're instantiating that in a book to act as a beacon or a guide for others. And then but you're also YPO members, so let's talk about that element. And after that, I want to talk about how maybe we could use AI to scale
Uh,
what you have in your book. But first of all, you're a YPO. What is YPO? You're a YPO member. Maybe you can talk about the Global Impact Summit because some of it's gone public. So you can talk more about it, and what inspired you to become a YPO, and to remain in this journey of YPO, and et cetera, and where you see the Impact Summit going. So a lot of questions in there, but okay, let's
super
talk
good.
your YPO journey.
Okay, so indeed, the YPO was very funny journey. You know, I was in Venezuela and I was in Bayer, and I was in the Chamber of Commerce, Pharmaceutical Association. I had so many associations that I was part, and I was president, executive president of Bayer group there. And then it was very funny because I received a call from a person that telling, oh, you know, your dad asked to contact you because he wanted to be sure that you are okay here in Venezuela. So can we have a lunch? Because then I can send a message to him telling that you were okay. I said, oh, my father, my God, because he's always taking care of me, you know? And then I went to have lunch, and summarizing, he looked at me and said, Lara, I thought that it was a student. I said, oh no, I am president of Bayer. And he was even like working with Bayer. I said, Lara, I don't understand. So, and then we were having fun, and he knew more or less my father. And then we started to talk, and what I was doing, how I believe, how I was also transforming Bayer there, that I was changing many principles, no? And bringing goodness, care for people. And he told, Lara, you have to be part of YPO. I said, what is YPO? I don't want to be part of YPO. I have so many associations. I don't want. And he told, no. This is something that is super good for you. I am CEO. He's a wonderful friend, Stefan Tobar. He's marvelous. And he told, Lara, this is for you. It's not for the company. It's not. This is for you. It's very important because it's young presidents organization where everybody who is before 40 in a position of a CEO, president, or something like this, you get help. And it's a community that we help each other. And the idea that we have is that helping each other to do our jobs better, to impact. So it was all of this conversation. And then suddenly I saw myself part of YPO Venezuela. And I was seeing how it was helping. And we have forums, and I had a very strong forum there that they helped me through many challenges that I had in my life. You know? And even I tell, sometimes we are doing these so many things, but inside ourselves there are so many things happening, Stefan, and you do not have help. And that period I was going through a very difficult phase that I was having struggles with fertility, and I was not being able to get pregnant. And then suddenly all the things, my children were waiting there. And I met my three children, three siblings that we adopted there in Venezuela, and all YPO was part of. They helped me. So then after I went to India, I went to India and I was there. And then when I left the corporate world, I told, I do not have to be in YPO anymore, because I am not anymore a CEO of a company. I am doing things like, it's almost like a social venture. I'm working myself, writing a book. And they told, no, now is even time. And I didn't know. Then I met Amar Charani, that is, he wrote this book called Purposeful. And we, by very big coincidence, when I moved to Orlando, he was living like some miles from me. And then we met, we talked, and he invited me to be part of this chapter. That is only people that is focused on purpose in YPO. And then they called me to the Global Impact Summit, that I was not going there. When I went there, I was so amazed. I said, wow, we can do so much here. And there are so many conscious people here. And they want to make such a big difference. And I am being very honest that I was very big part of YPO, but I was not so participative. And right now, after this Costa Rica meeting, I told, we need to use this platform to really make a difference, because here are so many leaders, and we can use this to spread. And there are so amazing people in this group that they have tools that we can share with the rest of the world, how to bring sustainability, how to work for good, and how to see the impact this has in your business, in profit and everything. But it's a good profit. It's a good profit. It's for benefit of the future society, humanity, planet. So YPO is a great community that can make a great difference, that have people like you that are guiding us, like Julie, and this is amazing. So that's why I think that the YPO and this global summit of impact, this is something that will make a very big difference in our way of working in the future. So sorry for the big answer again.
You're such a perfect fit for the Global Impact Summit and this marvelous organization, Young Presidents Organization, and you could remain for your entire life as you graduate from YPO to YPO Gold as well. And just for the audience who aren't familiar, it's like 33,000 plus leaders across something like over 140 countries, 450 chapters, employing 22 million, and close to 10 trillion in annual revenue if you combine all of the companies that are within. It's a private organization, though, very sort of based on privacy and confidentiality and so on. But you're an amazing leader. And I know you got a meeting post with our friend Julie, so coming up in a few minutes, and I just want to inject this idea that this chat GPT technology, I think, would be such a perfect marriage with this book, and to scale it. And I just want to get your final thoughts on that, and then your final recommendations, and then we'll end. So this idea maybe leveraging all of this activity that you see in the news today about this, what they call generative AI, and using that, leveraging that with your book, and to scale it on a planetary basis. So
I think that this fits so perfectly, because at the same time there are so many people afraid of it, no? And what can happen is that being afraid of it, we can just shut down everything that can be a huge benefit for humanity. And why? Because we are being motivated by fear. We are making decisions because we want to avoid that it will use for bad. And the reason why this would be used for bad is because it would be motivated by profit or whatever. And if you just think on what I just told about the book, if we would see a friendly universe and see all of these AI that is coming. And we think that this can be the solution for everything that we are looking for, that we don't know how to solve. And we can use the brilliancy of knowing how to live with a purpose for the human beings to guide and nurture the AI, to bring the solutions that we need for the future, and even to help us realize dreams for the future. So if you change the way you look at ChatGPT, ChatGPT will change. The question is what questions and information we have there. If we have good questions, good dreams inside it, it will feed our purpose. So the only point is why we are doing what we are doing. How can we make this in benefit of the society and our future? And maybe solve problems that we caused because of our wrong perspective and objectives in the past. How we reframe how we are living. So this is my final message. By the end, is about we use epigenetics and neuroplasticity for us as human beings to be better. How can we use this for all the new intelligence technology to fit to a purpose that will make a wonderful future for us, next generations, and planet? So this is my last thoughts.
Thank you, Lara, for coming in. You shared so many, wonderful ideas, but more than that, you're instantiating those ideas in ways that can act as a beacon, or this idea of a North Star for the planet. Just such a wonderful dialogue today with you. Really, really enjoyed my time with you today. And thank you so much for everything you're doing.
No, I thank you, Stefan, because I admire you so much and I love what you do. So AI for good is something that everybody has to have intrinsically inside themselves. So thank you for what you stand for, Stephen.
So peace, goodwill, and well-being to you. And thank you again.
To you too. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.